Hello, Internet. I'm HamsterBomb.
I'm Matt.
And you guys back for another episode of Pokedex Paradox, the series where we dig through the Pokedex, find a bunch of hilarious entries or things that just make absolutely no sense and either tear them apart with science, or we're just going to sit back and laugh at how ludicrous they are, which is basically what we're going to be doing for this episode. This one is kind of a curveball. Normally we're pulling things out of the Pokedex that just don't make any scientific sense. Like, I see numbers, I see speeds, powers, things that make no sense in reality. You know, like a bird flying Mach 2. Things that are just hilarious. Matt, I'm not getting you started, it's okay. We have another hilarious one coming next time for science stuff. But we wanted to take a little bit of a tangent this time. And I really wanted to talk about a certain Pokemon that has always driven me crazy. It just didn't make any sense at all to me. And that Pokemon is Kangaskhan. And I did not go over anything that I'm going to be talking about today with Matt. So you're my blind sample.
I just kind of know, I know a little bit of your reasoning, and I want to know why you've reasoned this.
Okay, so Kangaskhan. Matt, just I want to have you here kind of describe for me what kind of Pokemon Kangaskhan is. We have some of the Pokedex entries over here that Matt could actually start reading if you want to here. So how about from Red and Blue? Start from the beginning. Like, what kind of stuff do we hear about Kangaskhan?
Red and Blue. The infant rarely ventures out of its mother's protective pouch until it's 3 years old.
Yeah,
and as we know, Kangaskhan's like a kangaroo. It has the baby Kangaskhan.
It's like a kangaroo,
which has been like the controversy, like, oh, it's like a Cubone without the skull thing.
Yeah, that was the big thing, and I'm still not sure if people are set on that, because
they're not. It was all based on a fake piece of art.
Right, and like sprites that basically supposedly never exist, saying it was missing. No, though I've heard some really interesting theories about the missing information actually being Gorochu. Have you heard about that?
Gorochu.
Yeah, Gorochu. Apparently, originally, Raichu was supposed to evolve. Pikachu was supposed to be a first stage. Raichu was the middle, and Gorochu was the... You didn't hear about this?
No, I don't.
Gorochu was the final stage, and Gorochu had like fangs and horns, and it was apparently taken out of the game because it was too strong. It was actually breaking the game. It was too good.
Where did you... What?
I'm dead serious. Look it up.
How did it evolve? Like,
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up.
Think of all the other evolutionary stone stages. It's the last stage that needs the stone. So Pikachu, maybe at like level 25, would have turned into Raichu, and then a Thunderstone makes it Gorochu. Either way, they took it out in Red and Blue. This is very old, and they got rid of it. But still, we don't know what that missing no data is, and it doesn't matter. So
anyway, back to Kangaskhan.
Whether it's Kangaskhan or not, that's where this came from. So basically, if we keep digging through here, you know, say in gold. If it is safe, the young gets out of the belly pouch to play. The adult keeps a close eye on the youngster, and we get a good idea of what happens if the youngster gets attacked. There's some interesting things that they state in here. And this one,
Ruby and Sapphire.
Silver. How about from Silver? Go back before we back on. I want you guys to keep this one in mind for a little game we're going to play later. Matt's going to remember this one and enjoy this. Here we go. So give us Pokemon Silver.
Pokemon Silver. To protect its young, it will never give up during a battle, no matter how badly wounded it is.
Okay.
Why are you having...
Okay.
I don't...
Okay. Just trust me. Just soak them in.
Should I read Ruby and Sapphire?
Just soak them in. All right, sure. Give me Ruby Sapphire.
If you come across a young Kangaskhan playing by itself, you must never disturb or attempt to catch it. The baby Pokemon's parent is sure to be in the area and will become violently enraged at you.
Yes. So this is stuff that we would accept, right? So at this point, we're kind of building the idea that this is a very comforting, good parent Pokemon. It is the parent Pokemon. If you look in your Pokedex, it actually says it is the parent Pokemon. And that's the big thing that I find so hilariously wrong about this one. And we'll get into that in a bit. But I want to jump ahead because there's some great entries we just got from Sun and Moon that are different. Can you read those for me, please?
Sun and Moon?
Sun and Moon.
Okay, Pokemon Sun. Kangaskhan's maternal love is so deep that it will brave death to protect its offspring.
Sure.
Pokemon Moon. The child in its pouch leaves home roughly after 3 years. This is the only time when the mother is heard to cry wildly.
And Matt is probably like, what is he talking? Like, those sound nice. What's the problem?
It's a Kangaskhan.
It's a Kangaskhan. It's a kangaroo. Well, you're forgetting about the other half of the word that was put in for the kangaroo part.
Right.
It comes from Genghis Khan, who from history, if you don't know, is probably known as, let me put it bluntly, the worst human being to ever exist.
Yes.
And possibly, you could say, the worst parent of all time. I don't care what your reality TV shows show you nowadays with the Kardashians and all that stuff. I don't even pay attention to that. I don't even know what's going on. People like to say that they're like the worst parents or whatever, the worst family. Whatever. No. Who cares? No, not even close. You don't even know who Genghis Khan is. And people like to say Genghis Khan, which I think it goes both ways.
It's a translation thing.
Yeah, historians say Genghis, so I'm trying to say Genghis so that people aren't upset. But whatever. Either way, Genghis Khan, Kangaskhan. It's clearly coming from that, right?
Right.
Okay, so there's some really interesting things about Genghis Khan and his life. I'm going to give you just a few of them before we play a little game. The first few things, did you know that about like a sixth, I'm pretty sure it is a sixth, of all living human beings right now are direct descendants of Genghis Khan? I am not kidding. 1/6. And the reason was because during his, if you don't know who Genghis Khan is, let me just start from ground zero here.
Let's say, go back.
He was a young Mongolian named Temujin. And through a very complicated life, it's very interesting. He ends up becoming the new leader, or Khan, of the Mongols. And he basically starts taking over the world. Very violently.
And very successfully.
Then very successfully, yes. He's an extremely great ruler. If you're on his side.
I'd say if you're
because
with him.
Here, now granted, he's actually known for doing some really crazy, interesting things back in the day. Like, he was known for actually giving his people under his rule freedom of religion. And a bunch of very fair taxes, like religious institutions were not taxed. Like, it was a very progressive place. It was strange. Except he also really, really wanted to go all diggity with pretty much all the women, and he did because, like I said,
1/6.
aside from him, 1/6. Now you need to keep in mind where that 1/6 lives. Right there. So don't think, if you're watching this in America, that you may be a direct descendant of Genghis Khan. That's extremely unlikely unless your family, immigrated.
You're in the 5/6.
Exactly. Well, exactly. If you emigrated from that region of the world, then it's extremely likely. That's a massive number. Now, granted, the places he was taking over, like, you'd probably say, like, all the Chinese and the Russians probably absolutely despised this guy. In fact, there was a campaign made by Russia to try and stamp out the memory of Genghis Khan from history. It was illegal to even say his name for a while because of how bad this guy was. He killed, estimated, we don't even know, the records aren't even right. He is attributed to have killed at least 40 million people.
Wasn't it? I don't remember.
40 million people!
I'm trying to remember if I heard this, because it sounds right. He killed so many people that the Earth actually cooled. Because there's less carbon monoxide in the atmosphere. I think I remember hearing that. I don't know if it's true or not.
I've never heard that one, but I would totally believe it. But the thing, since he killed so many people, mostly males, because if they were women, he kind of enslaved them and they became concubines. He kind of became, inevitably, the direct descendant of so many people. So that's just an idea of who Genghis Khan was, okay? Now you can already see, like, where I'm saying the worst parent in history.
Yep.
Clearly, he had an absurd amount of wives.
Yep.
And people who probably weren't even considered wives. Just women who he got his hands on, let's just say. And had his way with, inappropriately, many a time, through history. Millions.
Being a big baby daddy.
Big time. So, if you're going to look anywhere in history, first I just want to stop here. If you're looking anywhere in history to find who you think is the worst character ever to base the parental Pokemon on, this Pokemon is based on loving, caring, parenting. No, this is the worst. The absolute worst. Though, the battling to the death to protect your offspring is hilarious because he would probably throw his offspring in the way of him to make sure that he'd get
cannon fodder.
Yes, he would probably consider them cannon fodder. So, anyway, now that we're all up to speed here, we're gonna play a game.
Okay.
Matt, you wanna play a game?
I don't
I'm sure you are gonna be a big fan of this game. I was preparing this game I like to call Genghis or Anime.
Oh God, it has a song.
So, Matt, you are going to be our one and only contestant today. If you win, you will get absolutely nothing but a pat on the back from me. But if you lose, the ridicule of everyone watching and listening to this podcast on the internet will be yours.
But they get to play along with me, right?
Oh no. Well, sure, they can. They can maybe comment in below or just play along.
Pause the audio and see what they want. Okay.
Basically, the way to play this game is I'm going to read you a statement.
Okay.
And it is up to you to determine whether I am talking about an anime character or Genghis Khan.
Okay.
Because this guy's life is so absurd. We're trying to figure out, can you differentiate?
Can we make an anime on Genghis
And I made
Khan?
sure that these are animes that you should know. Like, generally everyone, you probably know about these.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Here's your first statement of Genghis or anime. Ready?
Ready?
This character was born with a blood vessel the size of a knuckle bone clenched in their fist. Genghis or anime?
Ooh. I don't know, because scientifically that sounds horrible.
I know, right?
I want to say anime, maybe.
Anime?
I want to say anime on that one.
Genghis.
Okay.
That was real.
Oh.
Now, we obviously, this is so long ago. Like, seriously, the year we're talking about is like, he was born a little before 1200.
We don't have any essential
So we really have no idea. But that's just the story of his birth.
Okay, what's next?
It's real.
What's my next one?
Moving on. Genghis or anime. We know a lot about this character from their childhood, but they disappear from history for years until the next thing we know, they're a young adult.
Genghis?
Anime!
Ah.
I'm talking about Goku.
Oh, God.
Now, the thing is, I use that like from history to try and like keep it vague. These are going to be very vague.
Okay.
So they're open. But, you're watching Dragon Ball. You deal with him for so long as a young kid, and all of a sudden, poof, he's an adult, like the next episode. It makes no sense. But yeah, actually, we do have a lot of information about Genghis when he is a young adult, surprisingly. It's other parts of his life we're missing, but during the young adult, it's really crazy. Like, some of it's unbelievable.
Okay.
Which is why we're still going. And it's why you still are 0 for 2 right now. It's okay. There's plenty more, and there's an extra credit one at the very end.
Oh, good.
So, moving on from here, Genghis or anime. Despite the arrow this character had just taken to the neck, they proceeded to defeat all of their opponent's warriors anyway.
Genghis?
Genghis.
Okay. Because that one I think I remember hearing about. I think I remember that
Good,
one.
okay. This dude took an arrow through the neck and fought off the army anyway.
Put the team on my back.
Put the team on your back. Like, for crying out loud. This guy's ridiculous.
What's next?
All right.
I got one right so far.
Now, 1 to 2. Let's keep going. Genghis or anime.
Okay.
His father was poisoned when he was 9. His family was exiled soon after. He was enslaved before making his own daring escape. And this character also murdered his own half-brother over some food.
Anime?
Genghis.
God!
That'll happen. And here, anime, because I was talking to Kim about this one. It sounds strikingly similar to the backstory in Code Geass.
Because
so I don't know if that's the one you were thinking of.
No, but now I am.
Though killing his half brother over some food.
That was not.
No. that's totally Genghis.
Okay, what about the next one? I'm 1 for 3.
1 for 3. There is enough questions for you to turn this around.
Okay.
You can still do this.
Okay.
All right. Now, Genghis or anime. After this character's famous slaughterfest through history, he is plagued by his past adversaries for years to come, long after he had given up his prior mantle.
Anime.
Anime!
Okay, that one I knew.
Anime!
Because Genghis Khan would not give up. That sounds like Kenshin.
That is Rurouni Kenshin.
I was
Yes.
about to say.
I was... we actually... I will tell you later, because it may spoil a further question, about after Genghis Khan's famous crusades. But no, he was not plagued by other characters and adversaries.
No, because he just would have killed them.
Or they would have gotten away with it. Yes, and he would have killed them. Because even if he proposed, like, a deal that was bad to somebody, but he proposed the deal, and they denied the deal, he would retaliate by slaughtering their entire royal family and taking all their young women for his own. And saying, all right, you guys can start over, unless you want me to take you over. I mean, I could do that, too.
I mean, I'm right here.
This is the kind of guy he is.
All right, next.
So... All right, what is it? 2 to 3.
2 to 3. I'm
2 right,
3.
3 wrong.
I can turn this around.
You can still turn this around. All right, now, if rumors are to be believed, this character was put out of action due to an arrow in the knee.
Genghis?
Genghis!
Okay, because I was thinking of like Arrow needs Skyrim, but Skyrim's not an anime.
It's the Skyrim thing, but that is not an anime. Right.
That's the thing.
If you guys know, I took an arrow in the knee.
Okay.
There's actually video game characters now throughout any game that involves bows and arrows and all that stuff. Breath of the Wild even does it. Joking about characters who took an arrow in the knee, and that was it. It's just a joke now that goes on. But Genghis Khan, supposedly, now we don't really know for sure, but supposedly, he was put out of commission due to an arrow in the knee. Which is funny, because he took one in the neck and still took down an entire army. Now, you are 3 for 3.
Okay.
You're tied. The tie-breaking question is the bonus round.
Oh!
You have one question left. And this one is called Genghis or Hentai.
Oh, okay.
It gets better. Now, Matt, Genghis or Hentai?
Okay.
This character was killed by his, air quotes, lover, stashing a knife inside of her, let's just say, lady pouch, so that when sexy times arose with this character, he sliced himself open and bled to death.
I just want to say Genghis because I really hope that's true, because that sounds brutal.
Genghis!
Yeah!
You're right! I'm gonna have to censor you, too.
I know, but it was worth it.
That was true!
Because that is the only way to describe it.
That's so disgusting! Now, okay, it's not confirmed that's the way he died, but that is the most...
Well, what a way to go!
That is the most famous one. He was trying to basically have his way with a foreign princess, and she knew he was going to be coming, so she decided to stash a knife, a dagger, inside of herself, so that when times arose, he would basically stab himself in a place that would be so bad he can't stop from bleeding and died. Which would explain why, if this rumor is true, it would explain why we don't really know how Genghis Khan died. Because that's the big mystery about the dude. It's like, we don't know how he really died. Because it could have been that arrow in the knee put him out of commission and he died from infection. That basically, all we know is it was something that was very embarrassing. And that's the big story. Yeah, you won!
I just want to say...
You won! Here's your pat on the back! No ridicule from the internet. He was losing for a while there, but he turned it around. You can't get over that, can you? At least you were able to identify that it was not hentai. Because that totally sounds like it. I don't know. I mean, not that I would know.
I just want to say, for the princess, kudos for getting that up there about hurting yourself.
Right, I know. Right? She probably got cut really bad, too. If not, like, strangled to
okay,
death.
I'm done.
Oh, my God.
I won.
You
for
won?
those of you playing at home, if you won, cool. If not, don't worry about it.
Congratulations if you were able to win Genghis versus anime. Matt is going to get to go home without your ridicule.
Oh, I need bleach.
But, like, I wanted to at least talk about that for a while. So, like, we got that idea down. This is a terrible person.
It should not be named after the motherly Pokemon.
You're right. This is the parental Pokemon. It is named after the worst person in history. Like here, there's this running thing through historians. They always joke about each other to say, it's almost like the joke that some people say, like, how long do you have to wait before something awful is funny, right? Like if you made a joke right now about Hitler and killing the Jews, that is not funny, right? Because those people. Like those they're now old grandparents now, right?
It's the too soon scenario.
They're still alive, right? But the thing is, if you joke about Genghis Khan and all the Chinese and Russians and everybody else he's killed, now it's like so far gone that even the oldest grandparents of ours don't even remember their oldest grandparents knowing, right? So it's kind of lost, and at this point, historians are kind of saying, is it now acceptable for us to start looking at this in a new light? Because historians, of course, they want to analyze things without really being judged, and in this case, people are starting to write now about Genghis Khan, saying, okay, here's some of the positive things that came out about this ruthless guy, because I don't want to talk about negatives, just the positives of this ruthless guy who took over so many lands and did all this stuff. Did anything good come out of it? Like I mentioned before, he was really progressive with the way he was ruling his people. It was a way that would eventually start getting implemented in later civilizations and used. So you could start saying that. Was it worth over 40 million people being killed and countless women being raped to father his children? No. But
my main question after all this is, if after 3 years, does he just start crying wildly? Every 3 years, he just starts crying.
No, it would be every hour or so. However,
he's this super tough guy, and then all of a sudden,
my children have left my pouch. No, my maternal love is so deep. I would brave death to protect.
Someone give me a time machine. I need to figure this out.
My hundreds of thousands of offspring. See, I have no idea how many direct, just sons and daughters he had. I have absolutely no idea. I don't know if historians have a direct number. The thing is, like, what was interesting, the way we know genetically that 1/6 of the population should be linked to Genghis Khan is there was, right when DNA was coming out and people were start doing, like, the 23andMe stuff, they're trying to figure out, like, where's my ancestry go? They were starting to realize that a good chunk of the population all goes back to a single person, a singular person. And the way you can tell that is because every single time one couple has a child, there is some bit of random mutation that will happen in the DNA.
Right, it's like the people with blue eyes.
Yeah, but don't think of mutation like Marvel. They don't know what science is at all.
Wrong mutation.
So, a mutation is any change in the DNA. So if there's any direct change in the DNA, so like hair color change. And it can be something very subtle, like it's just written in you, like in your code, but it's not being used.
Right, it's like the two Caucasian parents all of a sudden having a mixed or race baby because that DNA is in there and it can activate at any time.
Right, yeah, because it could not have been visually apparent. So maybe if their parents were of, I don't know, from the Middle East, and it was their grandparent on one side, and then they both happened to come out at the same time and made a mixed race baby. Right. So that information stays in you, and you can actually trace it back to a particular person based on one particular change in the mutation. Right. So say one particular one, I don't know, made your spleen 2% bigger than normal. Right. Something like that. Something you would never like visually look at someone and notice. Okay. Size of a knuckle.
That's a fun way.
Yeah, a blood vessel the size of a knuckle bone, just gripping as you come. Oh, it's awful. But so anyway, because of that, they were able to trace and figure out, hey, we're noticing a lot of these people that are tracing us to around the Middle East area all have this exact same person who they're bringing it to, and they're trying to figure out, like, who is this person who could have possibly fathered tens of thousands of people in their lifetime? And then they went, same person who pillaged, raped, and commanded the Mongols for just enough time to father a ludicrous amount of people. And there you have it. Genghis Khan, the greatest parent Pokemon of all time.
So does this mean Genghis Khan's weak to steel attacks then?
Oh! A concealed steel attack. Is there like a speed priority? You need to use like a covet or a sweet kiss or something first. Right. And then you sneak attack with a steel move. Quick, like, when an Aegislash comes out of nowhere. Oh god, that's terrible. All right. The Ultra Sun and Ultramoon ones were kind of enjoyable too. We can read those too if you want to give them.
Ultra Sun. Kangaskhan protects its child by keeping it in its pouch. It has zero forgiveness for those who harm its child and will beat them down.
See now,
that's closer.
See now, these are the ones I wanted you to remember, like in Silver before. I wanted you to remember now that you know more about Genghis Khan. Now read its entries and start thinking, do they know? Or they just...
I think it's just a translation thing. They're like, oh, this sounds cool.
I know. They're like, oh, it's such a caring parent.
And then they found out and went, oh, crud, we can't change it.
How about Ultramoon?
Ultramoon, you shouldn't get close to its child when it's playing outside its mother's pouch. Its mother is always nearby watching over it.
The ever-watchful Mongolian Empire.
I'm done.
You will never stop.
I'm done.
You will never escape the Mongolian Empire. Probably weren't expecting this to take so many turns. Hey, but hey, you passed my test.
I did.
You did. And that was hard. I gotta say, that was tough, right? That was tough. I'm surprised you were able to do it, but I'm glad you did. And now you gotta purge that out of your mind. You will never trust a woman again in your life. Well, as long as you don't father 10,000 kids.
If Alex dies, I know why.
Alex died very mysteriously.
I'm just gonna come over one day. Where's Alex? Who's Alex?
Due to a flesh wound in the genital area. We don't know what caused it.
Then my other question is, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back to this one more time.
Now, keep in mind, it also could have been an arrow in the knee.
It could have been, but I want to go back to this one more time before we close the episode.
Yes.
Do you think Kangaskhan, since he was this ultimate tough guy, just kind of kept going? And just repeatedly kept getting stabbed?
Oh! No, like that didn't kill him. He just didn't care. That he asked her to do it because that turned him on.
Okay, we're done. I'm sorry, that image was in my brain. I had to get out. I'm good now.
No. That one can be your hentai, and you can write that one, okay? For anyone who wants to be redirected to Matt's hentai he's about to write,
you can find me on fanfiction.net.
But for now, this has been a crazy episode. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to do this finally because this Pokemon's always bothered me.
This is a good laugh before I get angry for the next episode.
Yes, in the next episode, get ready for back to some more crazy science. We're going to be dealing with another really interesting one. Matt will also be joining me for that one. But either way, before we end this one, thank you for joining me again for the Pokedex Paradox, Matt. And for now, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to join us next time for some more game science. Be sure to follow us either on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and we will see you all in the next episode of Pokedex Paradox.
Bye!